Hey, Podnutzians, welcome to the Mini PC Show, episode 106. This is a show all about big talk from little machines, Raspberry Pis, personal little IoT things, all about security on those devices, IP cameras, banana pies, nano pies, friendly Alex. It keeps going and it never stops. This show is brought to you by UK Treats. He's a former Patreon. He started his patronage at 2017, November the 14th. I want to thank you very much, UK Treats. And if you would like to continue hearing this show completely ad-free, it is not difficult. It is not hard. All you have to do is go to patreon.com, search for the Mini PC Show, and you will come up to a link. I believe it is patreon.com/Mini PC Show, aka links are on the notes if you would like to partake. Speaking of partaking, we are also being partaken by Flying Rich. How's everything going, man?
Hey man, really good. I had a brief conversation with somebody that was asking me about mentoring him into learning IT tech stuff. And I was thinking maybe 3 Raspberry Pis and a Switch would be a good way to get his feet wet. What do you think?
I think the amount of education that can be benefited from a Raspberry Pi can be, you can show them how computers ran in 1960, but you can also show them how things will run in 2023.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I'll also say we are also joined this evening by Brett. How's everything going, Brett?
Doing pretty good. Just getting everything working again. So getting back into the podcasting, and appreciate you letting me come on.
Well, first thing is it's always good to talk to people. Period. Brett is not replacing Brian. I will say that when Brian has time, he will come back and he will partake and enjoy the conversation with everyone else. Brett is what I consider a longtime friend. So, as being a longtime friend, coming on to this show, we always have to ask that first question. And the longtime listeners already know what this question is. Dramatic pause. The question is, hey, Brett, what do you consider a mini PC? If you had to define what it meant to be a mini PC, what would it be?
Anything that involves a fruit and electronics. Most of the time.
I like fruit.
I do too. But basically anything small enough to run on one battery is what I consider enough to be a mini PC, because you can run a Raspberry Pi on a single battery. You can run any of the Pis, any of the, there's not much you can't do with a Raspberry Pi, or me personally, it would be an ESP32 and a LiPo battery.
Yep. Now, the stupid question to the audience I'll have is, well, how old are you? How long have you been involved in tech? And what's like the first mini computer that you think that you played with?
Do you consider Arduinos mini computers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I know exactly what I did then. I'm 29 now, I think. I've been doing electronics since I was 12, and my first project was an Arduino Uno that just got shipped to Radio Shack. And I was so excited because I had just started following this little company in Italy that was becoming bigger, and they got one at Radio Shack, and so I saved up, bought one, and my first real thing was like a kit Knight Rider LED back and forth, and I was hooked.
Yeah, KITT Knight Industries 2000.
Yep.
Very cool. Well, so you're 29 years old, yet in the mini PC world, you nearly have a gray beard. Check, got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. The only kind of like update I want to give is Pinebook Pro. Look, there's no way I can say this any clearer. Hardware, build, quality, supreme. This is like Crunch Wrap, Burrito Supreme kind of thing. It's difficult to have this kind of fit and finish on a device less than like $300 to $400. So this is a $200 device. I've ran now 3 operating systems on it in its entirety. I ran the base Pine OS, the Debian, for a couple weeks. It ran fine. I ran the Manjaro ARM now on it for at least 4 weeks. It runs okay. And I ran from SD card a Android operating system. It ran questionably, is what I'll say. I'm still getting easily 8 to 10 to 12 hours battery life. Even when I pounded hard, I'm still getting really good battery life. I have had intermittent random reboots happening, which I will say on experimental type hardware, it should be expected. Doing normal browser activity, doing normal email activity, doing normal text editing activity, it's still an unbelievably bargain for the price. And if you would like to get a Pinebook Pro, Pine 64, just Google search that and you will be hooked up. And I will say, I did have the community lead from Pinebook contact me after the last episode when I dared them to contact me. And I'll say it like this. I made it very clear. If you attempt to give me anything, I'm not going to keep it. I'm giving it away. Whether it be to Rich, whether it be to Brian, whether it be to Brett, whether it be to a listener, whatever, I can't keep it. And the long and the short of it is, I'll just say this. After he stated they spent multi-millions of dollars from their organization on getting the Pine phone made, he said, I think we can afford to give away some hardware. So.
Oh my gosh.
That's good to hear.
Well, it's good, but it's also one of those things. You what? You spent what?
Well, yeah, that too. That's kind of scary.
It's scary to me because I don't comprehend that kind of money. But at the same token, I'm happy that they reached out to me. I still believe in their methodology. I still believe in their morals and their ethics, and I'm still not going to take anything from them. And I dare them to try to bribe me otherwise. Because if they do something bad, I will happily state they did something bad. It looks like their next board they're going to release is going to be a revised Rock 64 board, which is going to be more affordable but the same specs. That's going to come out, I believe, in less than 2 months, and I might be able to get some boards to be able to give away.
As a RK3399?
Yes, the RK39, where it's the Rock 64, and the next one I want to say was going to be called the Edge 64, if I'm not mistaken. I honestly can't remember. I will say in the show notes, there's already like 2 or 3 links that I know we're going to have to mention. I will say the Pinebook Pro is one I'm going to have to mention. There was a February update, I believe, from Pine 64, line 1189 in the notes. That's basically, I'll say this, not being political, but we had a recent president awarded a award for transparency, and when the award was given, it was behind closed doors, which kind of makes no sense. But with that stated, we have an organization like Pine 64 trying to do their best to be awarded a award in transparency. Every month they do a complete rundown of this is what's changed, this is what's different, this is what's new, this is what is to be expected, and this is what has failed. And they've been utterly transparent about everything that's been going on. I will have a link in the notes to the February update from from Pine 64. It's the post CNY and FOSDEM status report. They do talk about everything from the Pine tab, from the micro camera, and how the Pinebook Pro production has been basically put to a complete cease and halted thanks to the coronavirus, which they do expect, I will say, right about now, aka mid-March, to be picked back up and for deliveries to be probably started back up in less than 2 weeks.
Well, I just got to give my spiel about Pine. Love what they do. Love how they do it. Big fan of their hardware. I'm just impressed at the quality and price that they're delivering the quality at. So I got a plan for a video series that I'm going to be doing with mini PCs. Just haven't kicked it off yet. I want to wait till I have a couple of episodes, and then I'll talk about it. But my Rock Pro 64 will be part of that.
Personally, I actually haven't really been out of it, but I haven't messed around with any Pine stuff yet, so I know it's kind of bad, but there are a few things that I do want to mess around with. The Pinebook Pro, at least, nice. The Pinebook Pro, as far as does it compare with do you remember the Motorola laptop that we messed around with? Does it have any of the same styling, or, it looks kind of like it, which would be awesome.
Well, first off, I'll say to the video watcher, you see in front of my disgusting mangled face, you see a Rock 64, which I have no problem sending to Brett, so he can experience what it means to have a Pine computer, and I have it here already packaged up, basically. I'll say this: I have no hesitation in saying the Rock 64 embedded in the Pinebook Pro is near $200 to $300 Chromebook type experience, where everything I experienced on a laptop, on the Motorola laptop, was unbelievably, the best way I can put it is slow to evolve and laggy. When anything you clicked took 3 to 20 seconds for it to develop in front of your face. And the Pinebook Pro, I can click the keyboard almost as fast as I want, and things just seem to happen. Granted, I click the keyboard as fast as I want, and I still might have to stare at the screen for 5 seconds, but my keyboard strokes don't get lost into oblivion. And there's a lot of things I can do on the Pinebook Pro which will be very much normal computing like. If it's loading something heavy, or if it's loading something new, or loading motion video, it does take a couple seconds, but it is unbelievably faster than anything I've experienced on any Raspberry Pi type laptop.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I recently got the Pi 4 before the update, but I was able to run that on the Motorola laptop, and it ran good, but again, losing the keystrokes into oblivion is a thing.
Now, where did you buy the Pine 4?
The Pi 4.
I'm sorry, Pi 4, yeah. Where'd you get it?
I think I got it at Micro Center.
Oh, okay, cool. You got a Micro Center nearby?
Yeah, I've got one about 20 miles away. That it's good that it's 20 miles away, because, well, probably 40, because it's just close enough to get there, but far enough to where I don't spend every day there.
There are no Micro Centers in Florida.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's only a couple.
You're on the East Coast, so yeah, there's a lot. And I'll say hello to the Mac Geek, hello to Red, hello to Chatter on the Wire. Thank you guys for coming out live to the chat. And I'll say in the video also, here I have one of the Motorola laptops, and here I have a second of the Motorola laptops. I've had moderate success with the laptops, not great success. I do see how they can become a unbelievably powerful portable solution, only if you have patience, is what I'll say.
I agree with that.
But I'll say this: if you can get a Raspberry Pi 4 working with them, it's nearly usable. Where I will say the Pinebook Pro is at least twice as more usable as the Raspberry Pi 4. I'm not going to say it's laptop like, but I will say it's really close to being like a real laptop.
That's good to hear. Because the Pi 4 runs pretty good on the laptop. I was able to get it running even on battery. I don't have to externally power the Pi like you usually have to do. But yeah, it works really good. But the keystrokes is the biggest reason why I don't use it, because if I don't know if it's my second one that had the same issues. So I think it might just be an issue, so I thought it was, if I get a new one, or a new to me one, it would fix it, but it didn't do it.
Gotcha. And I will say one other mention of Pine 64, and it's not because they gave me any hardware to mention this, but I will say they did have an update. Now it's line 1190. I've been a firm believer, if any company out there wants to try to partake in the mobile ecosystem, it is going to be near impossible for them to do unless, here's the big caveat, unless they can take advantage of a pre-existing app store. Dramatic pause. There's been an ecosystem that's been in existence for a while called Anbox, ANBOX. Long story short, on the Pine phone and Librem 5 phone, in theory, they've been able to get Anbox working on both of those phones, and those phones have been able to utilize the Android Play Store. Okay. What this means is you should be able in the future, hopefully, be able to buy a Linux-based smartphone, whether $150 or $1,000. You pick. I think we know what everyone will pick. And then you pick, and then you install this post-market OS, which is just a distribution. It's just like saying Debian. It's just like saying Red Hat. It's just like saying Ubuntu. It's just like saying the anti-Semitic Linux Mint. But instead, you're saying post-market OS, and then you'll be able to ubiquitously, blindly just say enable Android, and it will enable Andbox, and hopefully allow you to install Android apps on your Linux smartphone, just like you're running Android, and get some of the ease of use, get some of the convenience, get some of the functionality you can get if you decide to buy a $2,000 Samsung phone.
That's pretty neat. I like that. Well, between that and the now this was a while ago, but when the Chromebooks got the Android ability, or the Android apps ability, that was a big thing for me, because although I still haven't messed around with another Chromebook since the last one I used, but they seem like they're getting better. But yeah, being able to say turn on Android, that'd be nice. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, I will say some of the Android experiences on a Chromebook are unbelievably smooth. I think hate to say it like this, I think it depends on the Chromebook. I think it depends on the RAM seems to be the biggest feature. But if you get it running at all good, it is surprising how many games, how many applications, how many things you can run on a Chromebook, and it just seems like it just works.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I also recently installed BlueStacks on one of my computers, just so I could run my webcam software. I've got quite a few Wise cams that are fun to just have open and watch.
So tell us what BlueStacks has to do with Wise cams.
Oh, BlueStacks is actually a I guess you can consider it an emulator, an Android emulator that runs on Windows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it'll run most things pretty good. And the Wise Cams, they don't have a Windows-based, or I even think Linux-based.
Why don't they just do a browser? I'm always like, why do they have to do an
Yeah.
installed app? Just do a browser, or I know there's a version of the Wise software where you can get a feed out of it.
Yeah, that's the third party, I guess you could call it, firmware that allows for the IPRS.
Is that
Something like that.
RTSP or?
Yeah, RTSP. Yeah. So it allows that, but other than doing that, and I'm not wanting to do that to my family's cameras at the shop, so on mine I'll do it, but not on theirs.
Gotcha. I will say I have very mixed feelings about Wise as a company. But I will say this: I do have a camera sitting about 9 feet in that direction that I don't have a link for right now, that I believe I can easily restrict what company has access to and have more features than a Wise cam. And you can go up to 4K if you're hardwired. And it costs less than $30. And you even have pan, tilt, zoom functionality and infrared capabilities. But I'm not completely comfortable yet saying it is, in air quotes, the ultimate kind of personal private webcam solution, IoT thing yet. I will say so far it is looking remarkably good, but
That's good to hear.
Well, it might be. But if you take a look at line 1197, this is a link I've been very slow to look at, very methodical to evaluate, because this is technically an Android application. This is not a mini PC thing technically, but it's called IoT Assistant, but the name is unbelievably misleading. This is by Carnegie Mellon University Labs. It's under the category of tools, E for everyone, completely free to download, completely free to install, no in-app ads, no in-app purchases, Android only, I'm pretty sure, no iOS. It does need access to your location, and it does need full network access. What this application is trying to do is it's trying to give you, the user, the end user, the ability to see everything around you that is monitoring you, that is looking at you, that is accessing your personal private information and sharing it with external entities. Hypothetically, you walk through a mall, but you don't connect to anything. You don't give them any information, but you have Bluetooth enabled because you want your headphones to work. Well, there are Bluetooth markers that will identify you walking through the corridor, and they'll have some profile about you. They might know you're 25 to 35. They might know you're middle class. They might know you earn between 80 and 120,000. They might know that you're single. They might know you're married. They might know that you work someplace, but they have a profile against you. And using this IoT assistant, it helps open your eyes to the kind of information that you're relinquishing to these external entities. I encourage everybody install this application for one reason alone: to give an organization like Carnegie Mellon better understanding to what kind of information not only we're giving up, but the kind of information that other people are gathering about us.
So now, is this bi-directional? Does it know where I am, and it knows where IoT devices are, and it's using, georeferencing for that, but also using my phone, I guess, to pick up information and broadcast it back to them?
I believe the only information coming from your device is your unique GUID or your EIN your unique identifier to the network and where you're at. And then it does like a group gathering information to say, I know if you're at this place, these Bluetooth devices are enabled, these Wi-Fi devices are enabled, these mobile network devices are enabled, and they're doing basically a scatter gather of sweeping the network, finding unique IDs, gathering them up, and then pushing them up to the parent network or the father network for delivery to a greater source.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I'm looking at a few of the reviews, and it's pretty funny. I can only imagine some of them being people that, let's just say, don't want that kind of information out there. You know, I saw one that said, "Why would you need this?" and blah blah blah, and yeah, it's pretty funny. But I do like the idea of it. It's a very interesting setup.
I just installed it on my phone. I know when I saw it the first time, I tried installing it on my Chromebook, and it didn't work.
Well, I will say it's one of those things. It will give you questionable results depending what area you're in. If you're in like New York City, you're going to get some really good information. If you're in the middle of nowhere, you're going to load this and it's going to say that no one is spying on you, which I'm pretty sure you already knew if you're surrounded by cornfields. But I have no problem saying on other shows, I say, if you don't know who has root, you don't know who does. The same kind of principle applies with IoT devices, where if you install a Amazon-owned Ring video doorbell, you should absolutely understand that you, as a user, have absolutely no control over that device. But I hope you really enjoy the convenience you get with the device because, again, security, convenience, opposite ends of a pole. That pole is unbendable. Those two ends will never meet. So if you go towards convenience, you will always lose security. If you go towards security, you will always lose convenience. It's just a simple fact of computing right now in 2020.
No, I completely agree with that. And that's one of the reasons why I do like making my own stuff. Is I know the code, I know, well, what little code I do know, and it's not someone else's. That's why I've been rooting around with Home Assistant. You know, I worked with a buddy of mine gave me a Samsung Smart Things. I don't even think I hooked it up, mainly because, you know, the whole you can't you have to push to the network to do anything. But with like something like Home Assistant, you're running it, you're doing it, it's all you, and then yeah, you have full as full of control as you want or need.
Yeah, my paradigm with home automation is I do not strictly adhere to this, but the whole idea is my home automation should be autonomous and run only on my LAN. It should not be reached for anything, unless it's maybe weather data or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the idea of edge computing and PII being a valuable asset to the individual, PII, personal identifiable information, it's like one of those hip things to say in executive meetings when you're talking about procurement card industries, aka PCI compliance. But I think we end users will be a benefactor to this kind of thing happening. And I'm sure I just confused about a third of the listeners, and I'm sorry. So let's just go on a tangent. If you go to line 1192 in the notes, This is another company I don't know if you guys know about, but this is another company that I am really happy to support. And there's a reason for it. Okay, first let's talk about the hardware. If you go to linuxgizmos.com, which I will say it's maybe my top 3 or 4 SBC websites that I enjoy, and I say SBC in honor of Joe Heck, who had a single board computing show, and I'm thinking maybe it lasted 2 episodes, but I still really miss him. And this is a link called Seeds, 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 Linux friendly Gemini Lake SBC starts at $188. It is a single board computer that can run Linux or Windows 10, 1.5 gigahertz to 2.5 gigahertz, Celeron J4105, which I do believe is like only a year or 18 months old. It isn't very old, but it's a little bit old. Includes up to a 64 gig eMMC. This is another single board computer optimizing that o-droid H2 x86 type form factor, dual NIC, USB, HDMI. Looks like it gives really good features and functions. 8 gigs of RAM seems to be the norm, which I gotta say, 8 gigs of RAM is just enough to tickle me and make me feel really good. This is the kind of device, $188. It's a little bit more than I believe the normal one up board was, the upboard, but I do think Seed Studio is a good company, and I'll just say it like this: if you guys don't know, I'm going to say this again. I'll try to have this in the notes.
Well, none of the upboards, like the up squared and the first upboard, have 2 gig Ethernet ports. So the first thing off the bat, I'm like, hey, this would be a great PFSense box, or doing some sort of x86 router. That would be a very good thing for it. Now, $188, it's a little on the pricier side for doing something like that, but that's if you want to do something, it's kind of cool.
Well, it's also it's Arduino compatible, which is really interesting for a single board. It's kind of a neat cross that I've always been interested in, is running basically the Arduino style code on a Raspberry Pi, or on a single board, but you've never really been able to. But this is kind of a neat cross, especially with the 2 gig Ethernets.
So it looks like it's got 2 pin headers. One looks like a standard Raspberry Pi header, and the other header is, I guess, custom to what they're doing. I'm looking, does it have an SD card slot? Because it doesn't look like that. And does it come with the power supply?
Yes, it does have a micro SD card slot, including a SIM card slot.
Yeah, I just saw the SIM card. That's interesting.
Oh, okay, I see it now. Missed it on the first. All right, so we got USB 3.1 Type-C, 3.1 Type-A. Makes me happy. And then 2 more 3.1 Type-A. So that's pretty cool. You got 3 3.1 Type-A, which... Where's the display ports? What do we got? We have 1 HDMI connector, and I believe every 3.1 could be a monitor also, correct?
I'm not going to say yes, but I'm going to say in a lot of cases, I've seen it be the case.
I think, let me say it this way. I believe the 3.1 standard supports... okay, so it says HDMI 2.0 A port and DisplayPort 1.2A via USB Type-C. So you could have 2 monitors off this, one USB-C and one HDMI. And you can get a USB-C to HDMI cable. So that's no big deal. I got that for my Chromebook.
I think I've got one for my Switch and my Samsung. Yeah, their Monoprice is also a fun place to go.
Yeah, and I don't know why I cannot find the link to the Android app. But here's the thing. Skimmer Scanner, SKIMMERSCANNER, is an app I have on my Android device that when I pull up to a gas station, I pull up to a convenience store, I pull up to any place where my credit card is being used, I run Skimmer Scanner. Skimmer Scanner scans the Bluetooth network for a specific set of MAC addresses over Bluetooth. Long story short, first set of Bluetooth IDs, the first half of Bluetooth indicates the manufacturer. The second set indicates the unique identifier per that hardware.
Just like Ethernet.
It is like Ethernet. It's like anything else. And everybody who runs skimmers on credit card machines where you put your card in and it works, but they also pick up their own information and save it. They all use this super cheap Bluetooth that came out of Hong Kong.
No way.
So they all have the same beginning Bluetooth MAC address. And the Skimmer Scanner app, I thought it was from Seed Studio, SEEED Studio. I run every time I go to any establishment. Twice in the last 3 years, I ran Skimmer Scanner. Once was at a liquor store. Surprise. Once was at a gas station where I immediately told the person, pump number 6 has a skimmer on it. I'm not touching it. Let's call the police right now to go get it off the device. Seed Studio is one of the companies that not only, in my opinion, make really good hardware, but they also do everything in their power to support the community. So while you hear me waxing on Pine 64 and waning on Raspberry Pi, Seed, SEEED Studio is another manufacturer who I really feel positively about as doing the right thing. So I expect to have an email from Seed, SEEED Studio in the next week offering me free hardware as well that I can give away to listeners.
Let's hope.
I'm looking around. I just do not see that in Google Play.
I want to say it's been taken off of Google Play and it's only accessible directly from seedstudio.com, but I will find out and I will try to provide a link.
If I remember right, there's also a skimmer scanner that you can build that just runs in the it's like a I think it's an ESP32, which of course is an Arduino style board.
I see gas pump skimmers, learn.sparkfun.com.
Yeah, I think that's probably, because there's definitely a way to do that with where when you drive up, it'll just say, hey, don't go there.
That's very cool.
Now that you say this, I'm looking at sparkfun.com. I think you might have, AKA cracked the code. It wasn't Seed Studio. With that stated, I still have no problem saying Seed, SEEED Studio, puts out really good stuff. SparkFun is where you go if you want to hack and learn the basic techniques. I think their prices are fair. I'm not going to say their prices are great.
Compared to Adafruit.
Well, Adafruit is a ripoff. I have no problem saying that to Adafruit. I'm tired of paying for your hair dye.
Come on, she went to MIT. She's got to pay for her education.
I've been to MIT, and I'll say to anybody at MIT, you can stuff it. I'm tired of paying for your hair dye. Okay, when it comes to pure value, a Maridroid is still maybe number one. Seed Studio and SparkFun do have some really good stuff, though.
I did notice SparkFun isn't being well, at least for a while, it wasn't being carried at Micro Center, which kind of made me sad. But it's good stuff. It's and it's fun stuff. At least for me, it's always fun.
Yeah, I will say SparkFun. Look, Adafruit is more of the first world. Dare I say? Sorry if I offend anyone. The privileged people who can afford the hackery type thing, where if you take a look at SparkFun, and here's the link I found, sparkfun.com/tutorials/gas-pump-skimmers.all. This is the skimmer scanner that I run, and it's available on GitHub. Surprise! where I have personally identified 2 skimmers, and I really do hope to believe that I've been able to at least get rid of some bad things happening in my local community, because I don't care about New York City. I don't care about LA. I don't care about Houston. I don't care about London. I don't care about Sydney, Australia. I don't care about Beijing. I care about my local place where I go to on my way to work.
So I was searching around, I found Skim Plus Bluetooth skimmer detection.
Yeah, I think you have to download the APK,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Android installer application, directly from GitHub in order to get this application. I will say the thing I like about this application is you can load it, you can run it, and then as soon as it's done, the first option it gives you is turn off Bluetooth and exit. Few things give you the ease in transition of using and exiting. If you don't know what I'm talking about, log into anything. Log into Twitter, log into Facebook, log into Google, log into Outlook.com, log into anything. And to find the log out button is near impossible. Load Skimmer Scanner from SparkFun, and it's right in front of your face.
Okay, but I need their hardware to run this, or I can just run this app?
It's just an APK. You can run it from any Android device. Because I run it nearly every day. Now, I do have a Chinese phone. I don't know if that matters.
Could be.
Okay, well, I want to take a pause and say again, thanks everyone for their support. Thanks everyone for coming out, whether it be Red, Chatter, or anybody else. And if you want to follow us, it's very easy. Click the notes in the show, and you can then be notified when we go live. You can follow us in Discord. You can follow us in Mattermost. You can follow us in Twitter. You can follow us in Facebook. You can follow us anywhere you would like to follow us. If you're an anti-Semite, don't follow us and don't send us emails. It makes me feel a lot better. I will say, Rich, is there anything in the IoT and the mini PC world that you're expecting, that you're looking forward to, or that you discovered in the last couple of weeks that you find interesting, or just something that you wanted to look at?
Well, first there was an announcement about the Raspberry Pi 4 that there's a new version. They fixed the power issue. What else? There are a couple of other little fixes with it. So I guess we might have mentioned this on the last show, that there's no 1 gig Raspberry Pi 4 anymore. They're only going to have the 2 gig. The 2 gig is now taking the 1 gig price, and the 4 gig price is remaining the same. Now, Dor, didn't you get your Raspberry Pi in a box that had a spot for it to be checked off as a 6 gig?
Well, I pick up my box and I look around, and I don't think it was the box itself. I think it was the paperwork inside did have a place where they could have highlighted 6 gig. I'll say this. We didn't talk about it on the show. They finally killed the 1 gig version. Raspberry Pi Foundation, welcome to 2017. My name is Door Geek. To finally kill a 1 gig version is long overdue. Long overdue. They also fixed the USB-C, and a lot of sites say power issue. It wasn't that they fixed the USB-C power issue. They fixed the USB-C standardization issue. They had a non-standard USB-C port where if you bought a true IEEE certified USB-C cable, there was a small chance A, it would burn your board, or B, not power the Raspberry Pi successfully. So they finally changed everything to be completely USB-C supportive, which I will say, good on you. You killed the 1 gig board. Again, welcome to 2017. Thank you for catching up. Now, when are you going to kill the 2 gig board? Because nobody wants that either, is my opinion.
So I believe it was not getting properly recognized. It was getting recognized as an audio device, and that's why it wasn't setting power.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it depended on the cable that you provided, but it was, I know, on some instances being confused as a, I don't want to say audio device, but you're right. It was like a streaming audio input.
All right, so let's see, what line is it in the notes? I wanted to talk about this one, the cluster board for the Raspberry Pi 4. Actually, work on any Raspberry Pi with a pin header.
1219.
All right, so 121. I, as much as I want to speak very positively about things, this one concerns me a little bit. Basically, if I'm reading this correct, it's a 5-port switch, which is a gig switch, which is a commodity item. You can get them for $15 anywhere. And it's a board with some jacks, and I don't even think it contains a power supply. And their GoFundMe, I've been looking at this for a while. Let's see. Kickstarter. All right, so their Kickstarter, I think they wanted 15 grand and they got 23 grand. The last time I perused their Kickstarter page, it didn't have a whole lot on it. And I'm feeling like a real jerk saying this. And if I am a jerk, call me out. I would be highly suspicious if anybody sees a product. I'm shocked that people are paying $80 for this, because there isn't $80 worth of value there.
I don't think there's $40 worth of circuit traces there.
Hey, and I don't. Brett, you're probably more into this than I am. I haven't been in this field in a while, but I know I can go to one of these board houses, lay out a design. Screw that, I'll just give you a 5-port gig hub for $15. And I can get a couple of headers and lights and switches put on. What I was actually kind of, looking through the design specs is, could I deliver a board like this? Could I do a Flying Rich cluster board with a UPS built into it? So one-up them with a UPS at the same price. It'd be very close to not making money, but I think for the money they're asking, they need to do a little bit more. Because I also was going to include a power supply. You're going to just have to plug the crap in. That would have been it.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I can't see you spending much, having more money into it than that. That is ridiculously. I mean, it's personally, it's quite a bit overpriced.
It looks like they're using a laptop power supply, which I do not believe is included.
I don't think it is.
Read. So and again, if anybody out there is listening to me and they think I'm a jerk about this, call me out on it. Because I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to say, hey, these are guys starting up and they're doing a good thing. Because cluster computing really, tickles my fancy. I'm very interested in this. But $80-$90 for this, unless you're including a UPS and a power supply, I don't see the value.
I would see the value in just the UPS.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I see the value in it. To be as positive as I possibly can be is I can see somebody thinking they need such a thing. And what I mean by that is I can see somebody saying, self, I would like to start hosting these clustered computings, but I don't want to worry about X. And when I say X, I mean these hosting boards. I can see it being $30, $40, $50, maybe $60 with some kind of backplane. And when I say backplane, I mean the power solution layout kind of thing. For $80 for this thing to get $23,000, that just proves to me that there's thousands of people out there that are incredibly stupid, naive, incompetent, ignorant, and have too much money.
All right, this doesn't even come with a case or a 3D printable rendering of a case.
All it comes off with standoffs. And standoffs have been in existence in computers since maybe 1970s.
Yeah, again, please tell me if I'm wrong on this. I want to be positive in the community.
You're not wrong. And it's called Clover Pie. And I'm Irish, so I dare these Clover Pie people to come call me a jerk, because I'll tell you, you're not Irish. And what you're doing is you're trying to compromise a certain market just to get some short-term gain. Because what you're offering is not an actual solution that anyone can use to any kind of profitability or some kind of big goal kind of thing. You're offering somebody a solution that they'll be able to clickbait, put on Instagram, and maybe get some clicks, because you're not putting anything out there that I claim as being actual, genuinely usable. So if you thought you were a jerk, Rich, I think I just trumped you.
You out-jerked me? I heard you're good at that.
I'm good at something. So if we're wrong, the links will be in the notes, and I definitely encourage everyone, go take a look at this Clover Pie. They have a great name. Clover Pie is a really good name, because it's a cluster board, so you get Clover, you think 3 or 4, so I think it's a really good name.
Yeah, I think the naming is good. I'm a little surprised at their Kickstarter, because it doesn't make me say, oh wow, these guys are professional, or they didn't even do a funny video, or like, I've spent blah, blah, blah developing this board. It's got the highest quality, whatever, The video isn't even that interesting. It's just the board spinning around.
Oh, the video is horrible. The video was done.
There's no voiceover.
Yeah, the video was done out of somebody from Hong Kong that can't speak English.
All right, and believe me, I know bad video. Look at my YouTube channel.
I'm sorry. I think you're mumbling there. I missed that. What's that YouTube channel you speak of?
FlyingRich.com. I'm sorry, Flying Rich. FlyingRich.com will get you to all my social media, but Flying Rich is my YouTube channel.
I thought you were going to say FlyingRich.com will send you somewhere completely different.
No.
Gotcha.
It actually, I got to do a fix on that. Some software is broken on the site, so if you go there and it doesn't look good, it means the beta hasn't been alpha or production yet.
I know, but by the time people download and listen, you ain't got to worry about it. Here's a link I wanted to talk about, only because I'm constantly infatuated with how can I put this? How gaming network-wise has completely changed over the last 40 years. I'm old. Hi, I'm Door Geek. Line 1212 in the notes. Okay.
Oh, cool. I was actually going to add this too.
Okay. Yeah, this is called Parsec. Parsec. The only way I can explain this is you can have a multiple differential type of people. Some people can be running Parsec on an iPad. Some people can be running Parsec on an Android phone. Some people can be running Parsec on a Linux computer. Some people can be running Parsec on a Raspberry Pi. And then you will need to have somebody running Parsec on a Windows computer. But you could all be playing multiplayer network games that are not designed to be network gamed. Okay. Hypothetically, old school Gauntlet was 4-player. You could have a Windows computer hosting a Parsec instance and have somebody on an iPad, somebody on an Android device, somebody on a Raspberry Pi connecting to your Parsec instance, and you could all be playing old school Gauntlet. like you're all sitting together in the same room at the same time, even though you're all continents away. This is the kind of ubiquitous gameplay I expect to come in the future. And here's the reason why. The computing power that was needed in the 80s and 90s, it's just a question of differential, where this little computer back then only ran so fast. Now you have a wide area network over continents where the same things can happen at the same speeds and still traverse continents with communications because the local hardware is now so fast. So hypothetically, I could be playing pro wrestling with NES from a guy from Australia, and it could literally be exactly like 1986 speeds all over again. Parsec, Parsec, is the kind of thing I really do encourage people to look at and check out. I do believe you need a Windows host in order to run this thing correctly, but you can run anything from Street Fighter, Mega Man, Double Dragon, any kind of old school game. I do believe it has to be available via a Steam port, but this is the kind of thing I really do like looking at. I don't have the time to play with, but it seems really cool.
It's funny you say that. I've been using it the last 3 weeks. That's why I was excited when I saw it was on here. I use it for, well, I guess I'm using it completely wrong then, because the way I have it set up is I have it on my old Dell server. I have a virtual machine running a Windows running a virtual Windows machine with a graphics card and all kinds of, I think it's got like 32 gigs of RAM and 15 cores or 16 cores, and all dedicated to that. But I just use Parsec to log on to the computer. So, and it's by far the fastest. I play my games on it. I use Fusion 360. I do CAD on it. I do everything. Basically, I'm logging into this computer as a remote machine, and it's just very easy with Parsec. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's almost like a terminal server. You install it on a computer in your network, and then you can access it like it's just another part of your network.
Yeah, except you can do it outside too, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah, you just have to have the port forwarding enabled, then you can access it anywhere. And here's the one thing. It even advertises on the homepage of being able to use things like the more modern Cuphead, which I will say, I understand its appeal. It's not for me, but dang it, I understand the appeal. But also everything from Cruising USA and even GoldenEye. And if I didn't just make some of your private parts tingle by saying GoldenEye, maybe you're listening to the wrong podcast. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, that's funny. I actually run my Star Wars: The Old Republic game, the MMO, through it, and it works great.
Yeah, the Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
game.
No. The Old Republic,
Oh,
not Knights.
Okay.
Of the... Wait,
Knights of the Old Republic was the one after.
The Knights of the Old Republic is the PlayStation game. This is the current MMORPG, like a World of Warcraft style, that nobody seems to know about.
Well, they don't even seem to know about it, but the ones that do give it very high marks.
Yeah, it's I play it daily still, and it's a fun game. It's it's basically World of Warcraft with lightsabers. That's the best combination I can even think of.
And just, if you're playing with somebody on that and they ask you, how do you enable something? You just tell them Alt plus F4.
That or /G.
/G,
yeah. Yeah, that removes them from their guild. It's great.
It's so easy to troll people.
Oh, it's great.
Okay, well, we've been going on for about an hour, and I'll also say this. Rich, Brett, and Brian and anybody else listening. If there are things that you would like us to talk about, please never hesitate. Send us an email, minipc@podnutz.com, and we will try to bring it to the show. If it's, worthwhile, if Brett likes it, if Rich likes it, if Brian likes it, if I like it, we'll bring it to the show. Otherwise, you can always send us a voicemail at 7076podnut.com. Even if it isn't interested, we'll probably still bring it to the show. So I'll say, Rich, is there any last minute things you saw in the notes that you would like to bring to the show? I'm going to guess Joel took your breath away.
Am I here now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. A complete listing of self-hosting software for the Raspberry Pi. Now, maybe it's just worth a mention and saying, hey, it's in the notes and we go through it later, because I'm guessing we could go through that and spend a lot of time.
What line in the notes was that?
I'd have to know what I clicked on.
Kind of helps.
I've been clicking around.
There you go.
Line 1221.
Yeah. And I'll say this. This is a link that we've actually secretly brought to this show maybe 3 or 4 times, but I still every week come across somebody that doesn't know about this link. So I always feel the need to reshare, to relink, to redistribute this link. The Raspberry Pi computer is one of the most powerful computers in the realm of self-hosting server applications with incredibly ease of use, is what I'll say. So yes, this is a James something. I can't read the friggin' notes, people. A whole good link of all kinds of things self-hosting, whether it be analytics, automation, blogging, bookmarking, calendar, communication, content management, e-commerce, document management, enterprise, resource planning, federated identity authentication, feed readers, file sharing, games, gateway, groupwares, learning, maps and GPS, media streaming, and I'm only up to M. It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. I love the idea of self-hosting and owning your own content, your own network, and this is a fantastic link.
I like that. That's awesome. Thank you. You've just killed the next week.
Well, and honestly, looking at this list, this is the kind of list I look at, and I have no choice. I have to buy another Raspberry Pi 4. And I know I could probably get by with another form factor, another device, but I also know if I buy a Raspberry Pi 3 or Raspberry Pi 4, everything on this list will just work.
Well, I've got an extra couple Pi 3s. So if you need one, let me know. I don't think I have any 3B pluses right now, but yeah, I have plenty of 3s.
Well, I have a 3 plus sitting here running my I have no problem saying wasting energy, even though you can't waste energy. Wasting energy running my Pi-hole software because I still think it does nothing.
Oh, I'm sure it does. No. I'm sure it does something because I know
it does nothing because I don't browse anything on the internet on a desktop. I don't browse anything on the internet on a laptop. I browse the internet on my Android device, and Smart Cookie does a ballistically better job than any Pi-hole instance could ever do.
Okay, so for us pedestrian people,
old people, you're boomers.
You're
worrying about coronavirus.
My household, let me just say, the amount of data I pull down is dramatically less. If you look at the charts since I installed
I need
Pi-hole,
numbers, not just dramatically less.
I can get you numbers.
Okay, I need numbers because to say dramatically less could be anything. It could be 1%.
Basically, all right, so typically it's 1/3 less because I was near the terabyte all the time. 1/3 of a terabyte.
300 megs. Or 300 gigs.
Yeah, so...
A month?
Yeah.
You only use a terabyte a month?
I know.
I'm capped.
Oh, you poor thing.
Exactly.
Damn right.
I almost use that on my mobile plan.
Yeah, but my mobile's unlimited.
Yeah, my top on a mobile plan is 640. 640 gigs in 1 month, and yeah, when I had that 500 up and down from the FiOS, it was fun. I did 4 terabytes in a day. It was awesome.
Jeez.
It was great.
Well, and I'll say this: one of the things the caveat I'll give about Pi-hole is if you use a Google Chrome browser, you might as well not use Pi-hole because Google Chrome realizes it's being Pi-holed and it works around it.
That's not fun to hear.
It's the truth. Hashtag truth. Get woke, people.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Sorry.
not say anything to that.
I'm sorry.
Actually, there's a Saturday Night Live skit on woke jeans.
Oh,
I'll have to send that
link.
to you. I'll send it to you. It is great.
Yeah, because I found out part of my annoyance with the Pi-hole was when I ran on my Android device the Google Chrome browser. The Google Chrome browser on Android was intelligent enough to realize it was being Pi-holed, and it would work around and show you more ads. So then on my desktop computers, I ran Firefox and Google Chrome, and I noticed I was seeing at least twice as many ads on Google Chrome. It's because Google Chrome realized it was being Pi-holed and it worked around it.
I will have to check that out.
I'll have to say they just came up with a great name for it. I've used it just because of the name. It's just Pi-hole is just such a great name.
I'm not going to argue there. So was there any last second things you wanted to bring to the show, Brett?
Actually, it's just a little tutorial place that I'll probably be pulling from quite a bit is a place called Random Nerds Tutorials. It basically specializes on ESP32s and just seems to be everything you can think of from low-powered weather stations to quarter-sized cameras, all based on the ESP32. They're really neat, and there's a lot you can do with them, and this website definitely shows a lot of what you can do with them.
Brett, can you give the elevator pitch on what an ESP32 is?
Yeah, so basically, imagine an Arduino Mega, the big, beefy, twice the size of a Raspberry Pi. Imagine that, only twice as fast, with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and about the size of 50-cent piece. It's a very small form factor. It's there's a bunch of different types, but basically it's an Arduino that has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in, and it's
low cost.
Low cost between $4 and $5.
Yeah, and you can get ESP32 cams and with cameras built in and the software, everything.
Yeah, you can get the cameras that basically you still have to. It's definitely a do-it-yourself maker thing. So you do need to. There's libraries for everything, but you still need to program a lot of it, or you still need to know what an Arduino IDE is. That's all you got to do is just copy the code and upload it, but you need to know how to do that.
I was going to say, unless you're me, I just add comment or uncomment whatever config line to make it work.
Yeah, that's all you need to know how to do, basically.
And I've actually used my Raspberry Pi to program an ESP32.
Yeah, no, I did that too, and it's awesome to be able to do that. Unfortunately for me, I think I used a Raspberry Pi 2, and it took 3 hours to compile the code.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, time is nothing but a number, right?
Well, sure.
Actually, I usually compile on my Mac and then send it over to the Raspberry Pi and then do the programming.
Well, quoting Joel, what's his thing you call compiling? Well, and I will say, I don't think I've ever heard of randomnerdstutorials.com, but you kind of had me at nerd.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the reasons why I first saw it and kind of went to it. It's an interesting, and I've bought in a couple of his books. They're incredibly detailed. I think the one that I got recently was the ESP32 one. It's like 500 pages. Comes with fully documented everything and video courses and all that fun stuff, and it's like $25.
Good price.
Yeah, so it's like for what you get, and the Facebook group that is part of it. I'm sure I lost Dora with that one.
What?
Yeah. But with basically everywhere you can go, and you can email them. They're very helpful.
Gotcha. I will say I'm becoming close. I'm saying this very slowly. I'm becoming very close to becoming a ESP user, and
I'll
it's
send
only
you 5.
well, and it's only because of this. And I don't know if you know of this, Brett. VS Code, Visual Studio Code, is Visual Studio stripped of everything and put into the open sphere. Well, here's the gimmick. Line 1199, I believe in the notes, is a link to VS Codium. VS Codium is Microsoft Visual Studio Code with all the Microsoft proprietary binary blobs taken out of it, and still retains all of the extension add-on ecosystem. I've been able to do more in the last 3 weeks of my 9-to-5 job using VS Codium than I think I've been able to do the last 8 years of my employment, because of the plugin architecture and the ease of use. Once you learn the shortcut keys to VS Codium, it becomes really useful and functional. And I believe I found at least 2 or 3 ESP type add-ons that I could put into VS Codium to help me, the incompetent me, to become much more productive in ESP, like shorthand programming. And quick, I was able to install this on Pinebook Pro.
That's good. Yeah, no, I'll send you a few, because I have extras. Remember, I kind of sort of bought 100, and I've used about 15 of them.
I do remember that, and I'll say, if you don't know about VS Codium, this is the way I'll put it. This will be a great introduction to deblobbed binaries. Back in the day, you had a choice to use IE or Firefox. Firefox was a good introduction to deblobbed web browsing experience. Well, you can use a whole bunch of closed source binary IDEs, developer type ecosystems, or you can use VS Codium. And I'll say this, if you haven't experienced this on Windows yet, I encourage you to look at Chocolatey, CHOCOLATEY. It's a package management system for Windows. It enables you to install a broad spectrum of software through a simple command infrastructure like Linux. And one of the things you can install is VS Codium. If you install hacking with code, I will tell you right now, you install VS Codium, you take a look at the extensions, you will be genuinely shocked at the amount of productivity you can get versus the amount of time it's going to take for you to invest.
Yeah, can you put the chocolate in the notes, because that sounds interesting.
I will do my best.
Thank you, sir.
And while I hit keys on my keyboard, I will say thank you to Rich. Thank you for Brian, Ask the Cable Guy. Thank you for Brett for coming out. Thank you for Charles for coming out live. Thank you for Rich for hitting the thumbs up on YouTube. Thanks, Chatter. Thanks, Red. Red, I really do miss you, man. The Mac Geek, even though you're a Mac Geek, thank you for coming out. All you got to do is follow us on any of these platforms. You'll be able to join us as well. And if you would like to partake in this show, all you have to do is send me an email and then prove to me you don't have complete garbage audio, and you too can partake in this episode. I will say, do not forget, it's very easy. MiniPC at Podnutz.com, 7076 at Podnutz.com. You can just contact us any way you want. And do not forget, Big Talk, Little Machines. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to everyone again real soon. Stop.
I just got texted from my wife and daughter. Tom Hanks and his wife tested positive for corona. They're in Australia.
Ha!
Wow.
I think Trump had a 9 p.m. addressing this, but, I was busy.
Well, do we know if he called it yet?
Because
he's been now direct contact with 3 or 4
billions,
people.
Billions and billions.
Well, that was a fun show. That was good, guys.
It was
Thank you.
good to talk to you, man. And we are still streaming live because, I'm lazy.
We're still streaming live, so we can't say anything bad.
You can say something bad, but I'm going to correct your ass really quick.
Well, did I? Oh yeah, I messaged you, Brett. Are you in our group now?
Which one?
No.
No, I don't think so.
So Dor has to add you in.
Well, no, he hangs more out on Boxer than on other platforms.
Well, so my daughter goes to a magnet school for the performing arts. She plays flute, and
she more than just plays flute. Okay, she's good at it.
So yeah. Anyhow,
that's good.
Kids from that school, graduating from that school, they're going to Harvard. They're going to Yale. I am amazed at where these kids are going. Well, anyhow, each year I'm probably one of the poorest parents at that school. A lot of kids get a brand new car every year. Just let's put it that way. So last year they had a trip to DC. I think it was like $1,800 for 4 days, and they played. Yep. They rented the Kennedy Center and played there. Well, in a week they're supposed to be going to New York for 4 days and $1,800, and they rented Carnegie Hall and they're going to play there.
Yeah.
They canceled the trip. Don't know how much money they're going to give us back.
Jesus. My kid's school canceled stuff too, and they tried to convince us to pay. I want to say it was $1,600 for my kid's band to go play someplace, and my wife said, "You want us to pay like 14 months ahead of time for next year for something? I'll pay you next year."
Oh my!
And so we didn't pay anything yet, and they just canceled it, even though it's 8 months away.
So the superintendent of schools has nothing. I can understand the caution, but this is the kids, unless they have respiratory ailments or something like that.
You can't understand the caution. It's not for the kids. That's dirty secret. The kids are fine. Kids ain't dying from this.
As far as I'm concerned,
it's boomers.
The superintendent of schools needs to reach into their pocket and write me a frickin' check.
Yeah. It's the teachers' union forcing the protection of the teachers, not the students. The kids are fine. There has not been a single person under the age of, I want to say 58 that's died from this crap.
Right.
Kids don't get it.
I'm spun up about this, let's say.
You should be, because it's easy. It's easy. Oh, Charles has a good mic. That's very good to hear, Charles, because you're a smart fellow.
I'm going to take off, guys.
All right, man. Hey, good seeing you, Brett.
It was good seeing you guys.
All right, man. You're looking good, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, trust me, Rich, at my government job, I keep getting emails every day how the world is burning and we're all going to die.
Well, so here's before I go off topic on the school. If, as far as I'm concerned, if they cancel and don't give all the money back, this is the last trip they're ever going to do.
It's a scandal, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Well, how is it they can do a 4-day trip to New York for $1,800? I mean, that's more than $400 a day.
Yeah.
That's $400 a day. I'm doing good stuff for my entire family, not just one person.
Yep.
And what about the economy of scale here?
Yeah, I don't like how schools do that. How they do any school trips. Okay, so give me a second, Rick. I'm slow, Rich. It takes me always a couple seconds to remember what I need to do in order to edit this audio because I don't want to mess it up. Because this was not bad audio at all, I think.
Oh, good. Are you okay if I return in like 20 seconds?
Yeah, man.
I'll be right back.
I gotta contemplate going to get an MRI here in a couple days. Okay, so we're going to Dyson compression. Is doing a quick Dyson compression on 8-bit Brett's audio, just so it's more standardized, making the peaks more like the $20. I keep hitting control. Sorry. $30. Yeah, that might be good. I think so. That's it. Okay.
I'm looking at Drudge Report. Rare white giraffes killed by poachers in Kenya. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Say some poacher business in Africa is like saying drug dealers in New York City.
Nah.
The amount of money to be made is near
super
insane.
Rich jet off to disaster bunkers.
Like who?
I don't know. Let's see. It's theguardian.com.
I say like Brad Pitt, maybe. I don't know. Because he's rich. He's super rich. So is George Clooney.
Many are understood to be taking personal care doctors, nurses on their flights to treat them and their families in the event they become infected.
What? Excuse me?
So they're bringing their own medical staff with them to their private area to... I mean, how much more secluded do you have to be if you have, 10 acres in Hollywood?
Yeah, well, they can afford it. They're sticking rich.
Are you voting for Bernie Sanders?
Nobody is. That's the dirty secret. He's losing his butt off. And it's because
campaign workers are going to burn Milwaukee down.
I tried to explain to my wife, it doesn't matter how many people show up to a rally. It matters how many people come out and vote. And Bernie's getting a bunch of young, dope smoking, drinking fanatics coming out to his rally. But when it comes time to vote, they're too busy partying to come out to vote. And it's been proven. I want to say they said compared to versus his rally versus expectation versus polls, he's only been getting 20% of his people to come out and vote, which in the typical Republican, old school Ronald Reagan type thing, it was 30%. If you could get 30% of the people to come out, you were being successful, like really successful. And Bernie's only getting 20, which means they're not being successful. Maybe he should offer free pot or something.
But recently somebody's brought this up. Bernie in his public service career, what has he done?
Yeah.
What are his accomplishments?
He's been a government employee for 40 years.
The only employment he's ever been successful at is government employee.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to fault him for that because that was a choice he made, and he's been really successful at it. Really successful
for himself.
Well, who else would he be successful for? I mean, when I go to work, I'm not trying to be successful for other people. I'm trying to make my kids and my wife happy.
Right.
And he's been really good at making his family happy. I don't think he's been good at making anybody else happy. That's with every lifelong politician. Doesn't matter who you are.
Oh, wait a second. I'm looking at this list. It says Trigger Happy, open source clone of IFTT, a bridge between your internet sources. Huh.
Can't say I heard of that one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get ready to kill the live stream here because I've literally eaten nothing since 11 a.m. this morning.
Alrighty, buddy. Yeah, I got to do some housekeeping here. So, electronic housekeeping, that is.
I understand. Let me do an export. Okay, so now I only have one more audio track to Dyson compress, export, and then I can publish the show. Thank you guys for coming out to the live show. All right, Rich, man. I'll definitely talk to you.
All right, buddy. Take care.